Romy Titus and Kevin McCallum. Not the sports news.
8:47, it is Royal AM. Deep dive into what is happening. A bit of a stalemate, I think, but Cash and Sport has all the details. Ngobile, welcome to the show. Where are we? Because what is today's date? The 14th is
26th.
a long way away from where we are today.
Good morning, Romy. Good morning, Kev. I've warned generally the public that people shouldn't stress about what's happening with Royal AM. I understand the view is, bidders were supposed to place their bids by the 14th and we would have a bidder on the 17th. But I think a lot of people missed the detail in the statements. So where are we now? After the bidders placed their bids, they were then required, along with the curator of SARS, to submit a written confirmation of the bid to the PSL and the PSL Board of Governors. That process was 3 days maximum, so it would have gotten to somewhere
20th.
around the 20th. Thereafter, the PSL Board of Governors had to adjudicate both the bidder and their bid and what they wanted to do. And concurrently, the bidder also was given an opportunity to take a look at everything involved in the sale process, because let's not forget that getting your bid in then allowed you into the room to see what's going on with Royal AM and understand exactly where you are in terms of what your total costs would be.
Mm-hmm. And how many people were in that room? How many people kind of got the nod?
My understanding is there was somewhere in the region of 5 parties in total. 6, I think there was 6 total parties interested. But that's the be all and end all of it. I don't think there was more than that. I think there was about 6 parties.
So what?
But besides,
Does it have a new owner? Doesn't it? Like, where do we stand? Because I'm still scratching my head in terms of what's going to happen come the end of the season, which is literally on the doorstep.
So I said quite boldly last week that I think that this week will be the pivotal week, and I still stand by the fact that I think by Friday we'll have a public announcement as to who the bidder is. From my sources and from people I've been speaking to, I understand that there is a bidder, a preferred bidder that's come through. And that bid has been adjudicated by the PSL Board of Governors over the past week. So from roughly Wednesday or Thursday last week, and they took the weekend and so on to dot the I's and cross the T's. I do think that we need an announcement before the international break is over, and it is over now. And this is why I'm saying that I think that before Friday, we should have an announcement of some kind.
Every
If
week,
I'm late,
I still feel every
then I
week
think
is
it'll be
supposed to be the
Tuesday.
week, Ngobile. I also don't think that fans nor stakeholders of the game have been kept in the loop at all. Everybody's just kind of in the dark. And so you're saying this week should be the week. I've lost all faith.
Well, it has to be the week, because if they don't, the team doesn't start playing by April 1, then they won't finish the 15 games for the end of the
This is
PSL
exactly-
season. And that means so that
Exactly.
it'll be a 15
Which means
15 team tournament.
The off season is not going to be the off season because we're playing catch up. I still don't believe that this week is going to yield any results, Ngobile. But that's just me from the outside, obviously looking in. You're saying that there is a preferred bidder. Is this person someone who is in football, or is it someone that, I guess, like Imam Kize, whom is going to have to be trained or learn the ropes on the job, kind of? Do you know the caliber of person or business?
I don't know the caliber of person. I've just been told that there is a preferred bidder, and that they have resources, if I were to put it that way. I don't know to the extent of what extent those resources are. I don't think that person is in football or is in football at the moment. I don't think so.
So you do know. So you do know who the person is, if it is that you know that the person isn't in football.
So I've tried to ask some probing questions and try to get an understanding of exactly who the person is, what their source, because that's my lane. But I have to, even with the
Who do you think it is?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to ask. I mean, I looked at some of the bidders at Kobile, and David Kusana, who I think is an MP.
MKMP, yeah.
Yeah. And then there was some Russian bidder. Is there anybody, I mean, put your balls on the line here and just give us your best guess. Give us your best guess.
Well, there was some rumor, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if this is true. Let me say that the aim is to revive Raw AM, but using a proxy. I understand the Russian question and the links to a certain member of government who's been very vocal without saying specific people's names. That has a lot of I wouldn't write that off if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
But I think I can't exactly give, because I prefer to speak in facts and not kind of speculate. I would be speculating if I said that's exactly who it's going to, because quite frankly, I don't know the name. I've just been told leading bits of information, but not the full picture. So that's as much as I know at the moment.
So you're basically not saying.
He knows, but he doesn't know.
No, I mean, I guess everybody just wants the best outcome.
I need to verify a couple of things first before I can get there, and I'm not at the point yet where I can say 110%.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But I think everybody just wants the best for SA football. I mean, we're all laughing at the situation, but there's a lot of players involved here. There's a lot of administrative staff. It's really shitty. And the truth is, from a South African football perspective, it's fucked up the PSL cycle. Cup competitions, league competition, all the people that work for the club. And actually, I think all of us who are football fans and South Africans of any interest actually want this to succeed and for the club to come back, whether it's Bloemfontein Celtic or another team. I think genuinely we all want a team to be back in the competition. And I think that's the upshot, is that somebody's actually prepared to buy it. So it's a good news story.
Yeah, I think something that might actually interest you is what happens in the, because what I've been trying to get my head around is, why would someone buy the team, and to what extent does it make any business sense to do it now? Right. And I think something that's gone under the radar a little bit, and this was reported by my good friend Robin Duke, is the possibility of an 18-team PSL to protect whoever it is that's buying the team now. Because if you're going to put in, and I've already estimated this to be about between 50 and 60 million. If you're going to put in 50 and 60 million to a team that is almost guaranteed to get relegated, has players that haven't played in 2 months, so
have
they
they
would be
been
rusty.
paid?
Some of them haven't been paid, well, at least not to their full salaries. How do you then protect that person and say, we can essentially protect your position and ensure that you wouldn't have a problem with essentially an asset that depreciates in value overnight?
But you've made a very good point about the money. I mean, before they even start buying players, before they even start paying players, they need to pay for the club. I mean, this is what I saw you had a thread on Twitter. They need to pay for the club. Let's say it's 15 million, just as a figure. Then they need to pay another 15 million to the player who has been paid. Then they need to pay another guy. So they're in for 40 bar easy before they even start strengthening a club that's weak at the moment.
They're in for, as I said, I mean, it's about 15 to 20 million for the club to buy the club itself. You've got 15 million for Samuel Nurkovic. You've got about another 8 or so million in unpaid salaries. And then there's, additional administrative costs and so on that you have to settle. I think you're looking at about 50 or 60 bar. It's a lot of money. And you don't want to throw that money down the drain if you're someone who's coming, because let's be honest, anyone who gets into football is investing in football.
Yeah.
And the PSL's agreements with all of the other partners are very stringent. And the PSL's biggest selling point is the 16 teams and the fixture list. If you're not able to pull off a fixture list for the season, you have dire consequences. DSTV, MultiChoice could come back and claw money back. Your sponsors and your other funders, Nedbank and the like, already have had multiple problems this season trying to get Nedbank Cup games going. So they're going to lose out on money. You know, I think we need to. I'm not. I've asked questions around whether this 18 team issue can happen. I've spoken to some, chairmen of football teams, and they said, listen, it's going to be very difficult. You have to worry about the grant and so on and so on. But also on the other hand, I've had some very senior people say to me, it's quite possible that it happens because it's the only way that you can guarantee that whoever it is buys the club will have a fighting chance to actually make, something of that investment, plus also pay back the DSTVs and everyone else. Yeah. With saying, okay, well, we're going to have more fixtures for you next season. Don't claw back money, etc., etc. So I think that one is more of an interesting one. I think we will definitely have an answer on Royal AM in the next three. If it's not Friday, it'll be the weekend at the latest.
Nobile, do you think?
I'm putting my neck on the line on that one.
Not your balls.
I'm still not hopeful, but okay. Do you think that this exercise, if we call it that, of Royal AM changes a lot in football? It changes a lot for the league, for sponsors, in policy, for broadcasters, so that the league isn't brought into disrepute like this again. Do you think it changes the game?
I've been quite vocal on this one as well, and I've said this is the biggest opportunity that the PSL has had to draw a line in the sand with regards to the image, the licensing of teams, and making sure that they come out of this. And to be honest, everyone, you're 100% correct in saying that they haven't covered themselves in glory by not saying anything. Mm-hmm. But they've been between a rock and a hard sand with this, because the moment that SARS got involved, they were out of the game. They were literally in the dark of the barrel, and they were consulted to say, okay, now you can adjudicate the club. The SARS has been running the show for the last 4 months with this club, and they basically have been telling the PSL, okay, this is what we're doing. The PSL can't get involved, so it's a difficult situation. But I think that they now they should be, if they're not already doing it, strengthening the measures with regards to licensing, who can own a club, to what does a guarantee mean, how much money should you have, your behavior as a club owner, because let's be honest, Mamkhize did a lot to people. She gave people gray hairs in the PSL with regards to conduct.
I think no hair rather than grey hair. Yeah. I mean, they're all going to start looking like Kevin McCallum.
Absolutely.
Hey.
There should be levels of decorum with regards to owners and how they conduct themselves.
Definitely.
And I don't think that she's not the only one. Let's be honest. There's been other owners who've also done things in the public and in the media and blah blah blah. That is. It's a very difficult situation, and for a league or for a sport, not even a league, a sport which is so valuable. It's the most watched sport on DSTV. I think people underestimate how big the PSL is. It should be much more valuable. We talk about MTN and the Springboks right now. The PSL should be raking in sponsors. But
it is a moneymaker.
Maybe they can go after MTN because they've dropped the Springboks overnight.
That's right.
Correct.
Yeah. When I say dropped, I think the price tag is too high. Sorry,
Nobile, I hope that you and I pick up this conversation again on Friday. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that they do make an announcement just to say, look, this is what's happening, because I think we all kind of need to know what is going on.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we need a line in the sand on this one. It's as Kevin said, there's no time anymore to keep quiet. Once the teams come back, you just won't be able to make the time.
Thank you so much, Nobile. Cash in Sport. Chatting to us. It was nice to chat to him. And the two of you are just like so badly behaved,
I didn't drop the pen.
From Romy and two Kevins. We won't be doing this tomorrow again. I'm calling order here.
We're telling him to drop the call. We're like, drop the call. And he's just watching us like...
The two words I got from it, due diligence. That's what we need in the PSL.
Yeah. Till tomorrow.
Not the sports news.